Can I request all of you to turn on your cameras, please? Because we want to see you. Dr. Raj, Giridharan, Astha, Janil Seth, Vasundhara, Artina, Mohan Mukesh. Hi, Dr. Raj. Can't hear you. Hi, Astha. Can't hear any of you. I think Ravi, you're muted everyone. Ravi.
So now given the mute.
Yeah. So Dr. Raj, can you unmute yourself, please? Yeah. Hi.
Yeah. Good evening, sir. Good evening.
Okay. Hi, Astha.
Good evening, sir.
All right, let's just give, a couple of minutes for folks to join in, and then maybe we'll just formally get started.
Yeah, we are in live, ma'am. Go ahead.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. All right. So thanks for coming. We have a good number of people today. We have almost 25, quite unexpected. That's also because we have our own students from IIT Madras who are beginning the course today. So there are three of us here, faculty. There is me, there's Munani, and there's Professor Shiva. We'll all introduce ourselves very soon. But just to set the context, today we have been doing this program at IIT Madras, the Biomimicry Introduction, for 3 semesters now. Today is the 4th group that's come in. And so today is the first class, very coincidentally, every Wednesday. So they have also joined today. So we thought, all of us can have a nice social interaction. So, I know there'll be questions and all that, but just to set the context. So there are a mix of people from the NPTEL-MOC program and from IIT Madras. So my name is Shiva. I think you may have already, if you have seen the video and if you have not fast forwarded the video, then you would have seen me, right? So, but even if you had fast forwarded the video, still you would have seen me. So I don't have to introduce myself. I think I've introduced myself enough on the video. But for those people, for other friends of mine who are here, my name is Shiva. I'm a guest faculty at IIT Madras. I work with Professor Shivakumar Srinivasan. I have been with IIT for about 8 years now. We teach various subjects ranging from biomimicry to creativity to how to we have a lovely program called Campus to Corporate, where we help the campus person understand and cope with corporate life. Before this, for 20 years, I was with TCS, and for the first 10 years of my life, I was a lawyer in the Madras High Court. So that's my background. I'm delighted to be here because for the three of us, me, Shiva, and Mrinalini, biomimicry has changed our life in several ways. As we go on, we meet more and more with each other. We will tell you the story of how it has changed our lives, and we want to change. We want to be able to be agents of change, right? So that's me. Very short. Can I ask Shiva to introduce himself, please?
Oh, thanks, Shiva. I'm also Shiva. Shivakumar Srinivasan. I'm a faculty at IIT Madras. IIT has been putting up with me for the past 28 years or so. Before that, as a student also, it was putting up with me. My love for biomimicry started to multiply when I started discussing with Shiva. Before that, I was doing some research related to biomimicry, but I would say it was more bio-inspired design and analysis. I actually have named my lab as Active Material Structures and Systems Lab. Now, my specialization is solid mechanics in the applied mechanics area. So one of my research scholars is here, Aditya. and a few of my students are working in relation to bio-inspired design and analysis. So I got more interested in biomimicry when I started to explore more. In fact, in one of the courses, we could find as many as about 100 different ways by which nature optimizes. It was wonderful going through each one of those ways by which they were doing it. If there is an opportunity that I get later, I will describe some of these optimization ways by which nature does things. So that's me. We started exploring this area of general category courses because we felt that there is this missing link that the students will gain by if we introduce this link. And this link is called general category courses. We have offered and proposed and offered at least about 15 different general category courses so far. And every course has been a success course in terms of the rave feedback that we get from the students. It also indicates that this is an important link that has been provided of late. Thanks for the opportunity, Shiva. Mimicking?
Yes, sure. So hello, everyone. Welcome to this course. And, as Shiva, both the Shivas have already said, we are absolutely delighted that we have been able to start something like this, especially across the country now. And my name is Mrinalini. I am also guest faculty at IIT Madras and co-faculty for the offline and the online biomimicry courses. By background, I'm an engineer and I also have an MBA degree. And kind of biomimicry fascinates me because I think that it brings in several disciplines into its fold and actually helps you solve problems doing that. So which is why I'm that interested in biomimicry, so much so that women set up a company which is trying to see how we can take it to others and create 1 billion biomimics. That's what our vision is. So that's what we are trying to do here at IIT Madras.
Is it a million or a billion?
Billion is our goal, Shiva. So that's what we do. And we are hoping that you will find this subject as fascinating as we do, and you'll be able to take it to, apply it and take it to even greater heights that you can imagine. Yeah. So welcome.
Thank you.
Let's get started.
Sorry, Vinny. Ravi, are you recording this call, Ravi? Ravi?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Record.
Okay.
Yeah, it's on live, sir.
But
Yeah, live, which is automatically recorded. Am I right?
It is
Yes,
recorded,
sir.
Shiva.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ravi.
Yeah, sorry. Now you were saying something.
Yeah. So let's do one thing is maybe since we are a fairly okay manageable number, maybe we can start with a few questions. And before you ask a question, you can quickly give an introduction about who you are and why you find biomimicry. Why did you join this course, whether it is at IIT Madras or the online NPTEL course. So let's do it that way. Otherwise,
We have about 1 hour. How much? We have till 7:30, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So let's make the best use of our time. You can also, it'd be nice to have questions. What we want to do is to create a community. I'm so happy that all of you are here. Let's maybe all of us can create a group. I don't know, but just go ahead and ask questions. We may not know all the answers, but we want questions. So like Mrinalini was saying, can you just very quickly introduce yourself and say, and this is also open to the IIT Madras students, please. You must ask questions. This whole session is about asking questions and doubts. So if you have no doubt, ask questions. If you have a doubt, great. Go ahead, please. Yes.
Sir, I am Rag Aral. I am from Kerala.
Okay.
From SCMS School of Engineering and Technology. I am the head of the Department of Mechanical. I heard this subject when I was doing my PhD at NIT Calicut.
Okay.
So during that time, actually, I was doing something in micro heat pipes, the computational work. At that time, the introduction of micro heat pipe was just it is introduced like it is similar to that of our this wet glands and similar to sweat glands. So hearing that, I searched many things and I have found at that time the introductory examples which you have given in the first sessions, that is this lotus leaf and something related to spider web. But at the spider web, something else I have heard, but it was very new to me for the first session. So I was very glad to be in this particular session, and I am happy to hear from the future sessions. And I expect I can also have something, some new designs or something with which will be useful to the community from the by studying this particular topic.
Thanks, Dr. Rag. Is there any specific question anyone has? Thank you, Dr. Rag. It's good to meet you online.
Okay, sir. So, sir, my question is about this course. At the end of the course, I think we may be able to have some new designs or what you are actually aiming, or what is the objective of this course at the end. That is my it is just like a science or something like that, or are we going for some we are trying to build up some ability to have some design.
Yeah,
that is what I want.
Great question. Let me quickly answer that question. There are several. I like your question because you're saying, like Stephen Covey recommends, start with the end in mind, right? So if you have to look at it that point of view, from that point of view, there are several objectives, if I may use that word, as far as the course is concerned. From a purely learning science objective, what this course could do is to open up a new area of looking for solutions, right? Apart from the normal way of looking for solutions from the normal subjects, you also start to learn to look for solutions from biology, right? So, and because biomimicry, the solutions in biomimicry are very universal in nature. It is not just for technology, it's also for human resources, also for team building. Next time you have a problem, whether it's a personal problem or whether it is an official problem or an academic problem, you'll be tempted to ask the question, how does nature solve this problem? That's one of the biggest takeaways for the program at the end of the program, where you become a very unique set of people saying, even if, let's say, you cannot get along with a group of people and you want to get along with them, you will start asking, how does nature communicate, or how does nature form communities? How does nature handle hostility, right? So these are the questions you learn to ask. I think from session 3, we will be teaching you how to do that.
Okay, sir.
As far as attitude is concerned, the end in mind is what could happen to you. You'll start to respect nature as a teacher.
Yeah.
And that is my main thing, right? For instance, I don't throw garbage on I have had several great teachers in my life. I will never dream of taking plastic or taking some garbage and throwing it on the teacher. Never. I mean, it's such an insult to the teacher.
Yes.
So for me, what will happen is, because we start looking at nature as the teacher, we will hesitate to destroy nature. And I think this world needs a lot of us who will hesitate to destroy nature. I'm not saying we will not. It's almost impossible not to harm nature, but we will hesitate in harming nature. So these are two distinct ends in mind, Dr. R, that apart from, of course, other things.
Thank you, sir. It's wonderful.
Yeah. And you will also develop a global mindset. Mrinali, have you introduced the United Nations yet? No, sir.
Yeah.
We have introduced the United Nations.
Okay.
So, So also, Dr. Rag, in answer to a part of your question about what is it that we are trying to do in this course, I think the first class you would have kind of heard this thing that it's a practice that learns from nature, right? So that is what we would like all of you to be cognizant of, that this is a practice that learns from and mimics the strategies of nature, which means that It's not enough if we just look at the theoretical aspects of, okay, can be done, this can be done. We will not be doing justice to our titles as biomimics if we are not able to actually put that into practice. So that's kind of the mindset that we would like everyone to start building in this course as well.
And Dr. Raj, I would request that you become adventurous now, because you are the head of the department of the mechanical department, right? I would request that you become more adventurous in your thinking and say, I've got 20 problems, give it to your students and ask them, how does nature solve this?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and then they'll start asking you doubts, and you can start a movement in biomimicry and all that. But give them 20 problems first.
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Anyone else?
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Brijmohan, we can't hear you, Brijmohan. No, can't hear you.
I think he's typing probably. We can't hear you. Sorry.
You're correct. You have connected that, and you need to disconnect that.
Sorry, we can't hear you, Brijmohan. Okay.
You log out and log in.
Yeah, we'll come back to you.
Yeah.
Fine.
All right.
I understand sign language.
Yes. Anyone else who wants to go ask a question, clarify something?
Yeah, we need the IIT students to ask also. I want you to ask. I know that you may not have known biomimicry, but we want questions. And this is part of your course. Remember, you're not silent people here. I want questions. I want questions. I don't care whether we have done nothing in biomimicry yet for you, but I want questions, because questions are the heart of learning. Asta, Giridhar, Artina, Midhun, Tanya. I can see a lot of names, but I can't see any questions.
Sir, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
Anthony here.
Anthony, go ahead.
So, thanks for the session. So, when I came into this course, I thought it will be just a normal course that I'll be learning from PPT or something like that. But it's like a group of passionate members, 3 people. So, first of all, I'm like happy and impressed.
Can't hear you.
Shiva.
So basically, I'm impressed by the team that I'm learning from. So one thing is that will it be just the paper book assignment, or will we be doing really something inspiring from biomimicry? Will we be doing some project or not?
So Anthony, I'm sorry, I'll answer that question later on, because
Okay.
it doesn't pertain to a biomimicry subject. Many people here are here because they have questions from the sessions that we conducted.
Okay.
So that yours is more of a course question. I'll answer it later on the
Okay.
WhatsApp group.
Okay. I mean, it's not just for the course. I mean, I'm passionate to do. So will there be modalities to try out something? So
Yes, there will
that
be.
kind. Yeah.
You are an IIT, right? You are an IIT student, right?
Yeah, I'm an IIT student.
So you will know what we are going to do.
Sure. Okay.
Brijmohan, sorry, thanks, Brijmohan. Go ahead.
Yeah, can you hear me now, sir?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, great now. So I had a couple of questions with me. Shall I proceed those questions or finding a solution on that through the course or after the course? What is it?
Ask the question. And we will tell you whether it's going to come in the course, or we'll answer it now.
No, not course per se, but say assuming just one problem statement. Say if I want to design a fan.
Can you introduce yourself, please?
Sir, I work in Mahindra in Changalpet.
Okay. Oh, okay. You work with
MRV.
Yeah, what's his name? He is the Assistant Innovation Officer.
Dr. Shankar.
Shankar Venugopal.
Yes, sir.
Shankar and I are good friends.
Very nice. Nice. So I work in the same area, this thing, and I was thinking about how to use this science or know how to design a better fan for the tractor or say some automobile. So.
Okay. So I think you should wait for the third session, and Mrinalini very passionately describes a way to do that, right? Because it's a fantastic, nice question. So your question is how to design a better fan, right?
Yes, sir.
So, Mini, you think we should ask
Yeah.
you to wait for the next session?
So I think what in the interest of making sure that you have what the inputs that you need, Brijmohan, what I would say is from session 3 onwards, and this is for the NPTEL course, from session 3 onwards, what you will see is you will go through this biomimicry process, and how can you start solving problems using the biomimicry process. So if you follow along and use your own question to actually follow along the process, you will kind of find that it will be useful for you. So I think you should try that and see how it goes. Of course, it's an iterative process, so it won't be just one pass that you do, but you can go follow along with the class sessions that happen. I think that would be something that you will find useful.
But let me set a context to the question, Brijmohan. Essentially, biomimicry is about imitating, correct? Yes, that's what it is. It's imitating nature. Now you have a problem. You have brought a problem to the forum. You have said, how do I design a fan for the vehicle? And what are we learning? We are learning that biomimicry is imitating solutions from nature. And we are saying biomimicry has universal solutions. So the first thing you do is to believe that nature has a solution for you. But the more important thing is to say, nature may not answer the question the way I am asking the question. I need to reframe the question in such a way that I can get the answer from nature. So therefore, the question is a very simplistic question. How do I design a fan? What Mrinalini will explain in session 3 is what to do with that question. What to do with your question. So as a question, you will not be able to find from any answers from nature. But if you think deeply about your question and ask yourself, what does your question really mean? Because nature does not know the meaning of fan. Fan is something you and I created. There is no fan in nature. But there is something around fan in nature. There's a concept of fan in nature. And that is what you will learn. You will learn how to translate a normal question into a conceptual question that nature can understand. Right? And that I'm tempted to say that word, but that word that you will learn, will make you see, nature is silent, Brijmohan, right? Nature cannot speak, but that does not mean someone who does not speak is not an intelligent person. We have all got the wrong connotations of communication skills, right? We think communication is about speaking. Communication is also about learning from some silent person. So you will have to put in the effort to ask nature as to how it can help you. And sometimes when you ask nature, nature does not reply again like we all do. You will have to glean from nature. And that's a fantastic journey, Brijmohan. How do you look around outside your window? And how do you see there is not one engineer, but there are thousands of engineers outside your window, right? One of our favorite examples in IIT Madras, if I go to any of my students and say, what are you doing? Who are you? He'll say, I'm an engineer. What do engineers do? Engineers solve problems. The next question is, how many engineers are there in the campus? He will say 5,000 engineers. He's wrong, because there are 1 million engineers on campus. Every lotus leaf, every grass, every tree, every root, every mushroom, every deer is an engineer, because they're solving problems. Right? So I would request you to come back to the next live session, and I want to learn from you as to how you solve this problem of fan using biomimicry.
And we really look forward to seeing your final, the shape of your final solution as well. Definitely.
Can I speak?
Yes.
Yes, please go ahead.
So while you suggested like we want to make a fan, so while sir told that nature is silent, that is actually true. But so while we are solving some problem, rather than looking at the solution, which is like fan, we should come up with the problem first. Like,
yeah.
So
Ravindra,
first thing is.
So Ravindra, that is part of the process, Ravindra. So as you go through the process in biomimicry, you will realize that that is the first thing you do. So it's not as if you jump into this and say, okay, this is what I'm going to do and start on something. You will find that the process actually asks you to think deeply about what is it that you want to set out to do. And that's part of the biomimicry process. As you get started on it, you will see that as well.
In any creative session, Ravindra, you cannot look for answers unless you have a problem to solve.
Yeah.
Also, you cannot solve what you don't understand. So the whole, any problem solving attempt, you have to start with understanding your problem fully first and defining it and articulating it fully first. So that is actually the first step that you will go through as you go through the biomimicry process. Rather than just assuming that this is what your problem is and this is what you want to solve and jumping into the solution.
Yeah.
And you'll see that that's a very critical part of the way biomimicry process works.
Yeah, my idea was like, why to start designing a fan? There can be options to solve that same problem.
That's exactly what you will go through.
Do you have a question on biomimicry now, please?
Me, yeah?
Is there any question on biomimicry? Because there are a lot of people waiting to ask questions.
No, I just wanted to.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think, Ravindra, if you start going through the sessions, you'll kind of understand what we are talking about. So please keep that in mind as we go through the sessions.
You're thinking along the directions of the process. Yeah.
Yes. All right.
I need more questions, please. I need more questions on biomimicry. On what is it? What is biomimicry? I know you probably haven't learned it, but if you have learned it, I want some questions the way we got some questions from Rich Mohan.
Hi guys, I'm Janil. And the thing I want to ask about biomimicry is that I'm in my third year of my dual degree. The thing I wondered is why did it start just like a year ago, this type of concept about taking solutions from nature and all? Why hasn't been is it lacking from the curriculum or something, this concept about biomimicry?
That's a good question. From a context point of view, apparently biomimicry has existed right from 500 years ago, when Leonardo da Vinci made the first drawing of what he called as the flying machine or flying object, I don't know. He called it the flying machine. So biomimicry has existed for a very long time. Either you get inspired by nature or you imitate nature, either way. There's a lot of argument as to what Da Vinci did, whether he imitated nature or whether he was inspired by nature, but that's not the point. The point is, in answer to a question, 15 years ago, I think it was popularized by Janine Benyus, who came in and wrote that very seminal book on biomimicry. So you're right, like all sciences, it's a very new science, and we don't know. I don't know the reason as to why it has not been popular up to now. I mean, it's a futile exercise to find out why it has not been popular. It's a great question, of course, but I don't have an answer.
And Janil, the beauty is it covers the entire science, not just one area of science and all those. See, when you look at nature, organisms and others, there's a lot that goes on, whether it is chemical or mechanical or anything else. All these are connected. And you will see a holistic way in which the nature has solved the problem. And that's the beauty that you start to appreciate. That's the one that you start to feel you should copy. But copy cannot be direct like what Shiva told. So there is a process that we help you with.
Can I, sir?
1 minute, sorry. Yes, Giridhar, yes?
Yeah. Hi, all. I'm Dr. Giridhar.
You need to, Dr. Giridhar, you need to lower your camera, or rather, yeah. Perfect.
I'm Dr. Giridhar. I'm a pediatric surgeon, retired from the government service.
Okay.
I'm on to bird photography. I've been doing it for the past 5 years. So I was fascinated by the biomimicry around 2-3 years itself. I was searching for a course, and I finished that NPTEL basic ornithology course, and that inspired me to go for searching for the next biomimicry. So I just landed up in this one and I enrolled. Observing the birds for the past few years, I thought I can apply those things and try to find some solution. So I'm sure experts like you can guide me to something. So something that can make a change.
Sure.
I hope so. Thank you. Thank you so much.
So, Dr. Giridhar, one of the requests is, while you're doing this course, see, all of us, Dr. Giridhar, whether we are ornithologists or whether we are photographers or whether we are students, all of us want problems to solve. And that is the most difficult thing for us to think about. What is the problem I want to solve? So I would request that instead of simply having an interest in biomimicry, you ask yourself right now, I have got 5 problems and I want to solve them at the end of this course using what I am learning. I don't promise that you will get the solutions, but you will constantly remain curious throughout the course, because once you put a problem in your head, you cannot remove it unless it's either solved or you go crazy. That's the beauty of a problem, right? And that is why we hesitate in creativity, because we don't want problems. And so we say, no, I don't want a problem. But the minute you put a problem in your head, it doesn't go away. And what you can do is you can use the next 8 weeks to say, hey, are Shiva and Mrinalini and Professor Shiva giving me any answers for my problem? And you become obsessed with your problem. And don't leave us alone unless we are able to guide you to a solution. Yeah?
Yes.
No,
Thank
to
you.
add to that, you will also find that yourself saying, oh, okay, this is something that people have not looked into. And therefore, this is a requirement for learning about that particular organism. The other day, I was just looking at the way birds call compared to any other organisms. Birds seem to be calling. Early in the morning, they seem to be calling. We don't do that. Most of the animals don't do. There is some aspect to it. Perhaps science has not completely understood it. So once you come out with that requirement, oh, okay, we need to understand this. That's an additional knowledge science has to take up. And that helps us in terms of adding to the knowledge and adding to how the nature has been performing its actions.
Yeah. Hi, anyone else? Seema, Mudrika?
Sir.
Yes.
Hello. Hello, sir. Good evening. I am, sir, are you, is it audible?
Yes, Supriyanka,
Yes, we can hear you.
We are
Go
able
ahead,
to hear
please.
you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, my name is Supriyanka, and I am currently pursuing MTech first year from Applied Mechanics Department in IIT Madras. And so, firstly, I want to tell why, what's the things which give me so interest to take this course. And see, all we are surrounded by nature, so we are connected with the nature directly or indirectly, but actually I don't know the science behind the things, because whenever we see the nature, we just pursue that as a normal and a casual, like we didn't go in a engineering perspective. But when the moment I learned that lotus leaves example, then I thought like okay, we just normally see the lotus, but behind that this much mechanism it is having. So from there I got the interest to know what the mechanisms are going around us, so which drives me to take this course. And like I have a question, like
what is your question?
sir, in this course, whether we study only the mechanisms which are given by nature, or will we apply those mechanisms in our engineering perspective also?
Yeah, so I'm sorry, I'll have to answer this question later on, because it's more of a question that relates to the course, right?
Yes,
but
sir.
while what we have here is a mixture of an audience that may have a doubt about biomimicry itself. So any questions about the course, I will send you the WhatsApp in the group. I'll send you the answer.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. So do we have any questions on biomimicry, on what you did not understand in the course? Is there something that we were not clear about? That is the purpose of this program. Was there something that we said that you were not clear about, that you want to know a little more about it? Were we a little in what we explained, was there something that you wanted some more explanation? I would request that we concentrate on that over the next few minutes, just about the 2 sessions that you went through on the 29th and the 3rd and no 26th and the 29th of July.
Oh, okay, sir. Sorry, because I didn't attend. No, so that's why I thought of this is a first class.
No
Okay,
problem,
sir.
Supriyanka. It's a valid
Okay.
question, but in this context, I tell you.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
Yes. Anyone? Something that you didn't understand? Mudrika, I can see you, so that's why I'm asking you. So do you have anything to ask? Are you a biomimicry student? What are you doing?
So I'm currently pursuing BSc microbiology.
Okay. Where are you doing this?
Sorry, sir.
Where are you doing microbiology?
St. Xavier's, Calcutta.
I'm sorry?
St. Xavier's, Calcutta.
Okay. So is there any question on biomimicry about the course itself, something that you didn't understand? Seema? Seema Rani, you have to unmute.
Yes, sir. I don't have a question.
Okay, so and you are here just for the learning company.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Brijmohan.
We're not able to hear you again.
No.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes.
Oh, great. In the first part of the, in the 4th part, if you recall, there was some 10 design principles were taught.
10 what?
10
Yes,
principles.
nature's unifying patterns. Yes.
See, you can see me coming,
Wonderful.
coming in front, right? Because that's exciting.
In that, number 7 was there, if I recall rightly, is about the nature doesn't harm anything. It's like everything is okay, something like that. It doesn't harm the something like that, if you recall.
Right.
Now the question was, in Africa, in Brazilian area, there's some toad is there, some frog is there. The skin is very poisonous. So is that, it is sounding to me, is both are things, both what sentence, what the 7th principle was there, that is not matching with this in my views. That the skin is actually very harmful. It's like it's more than it is very dangerous for the anybody touches it, it will be dying like that. So is that conflicting? Is that statement?
So I'll answer the first part of the question and let Prinali answer the second part of the question. Now, why I want to answer that question, I'm so happy that you asked that question, Brijmohan. I tell you, because what you learned, those 10 principles, and I'm hoping that everybody in this audience runs and looks at the 10 design principles of nature. So essentially, Brijmohan, those 10 principles are how nature makes design. How nature designs. So for instance, if I want to design a bottle, I will use harmful material to design. But nature never uses harmful materials. And these 10 principles are the principles nature follows when nature makes design. Nature recycles everything. In IIT Madras itself, right? In IIT Madras, we are engineers, all of us here. All of us are engineers here. Nature only uses the energy it needs and does not waste energy. Nature recycles. Now tell me, how many of our students, they're all cycling on campus, right? When they're cycling on campus, what are they doing? They are expending energy. Now, are they using that energy? No. What are they doing? They cycle on campus for 2 hours and then they go to their room and they charge their phones. Why are they not thinking of charging their phones while cycling? Because they are producing energy. And this is exactly how nature does. Nature does not waste energy. So those 10 principles are the design principles of nature by which nature makes design. So the 7th principle is about nature does not produce toxic chemicals, right, Mini?
Yes.
Yeah. So can you explain the frog thing for Brijmohan?
Yeah, sure. So I think the one that you're referring to, Brijmohan, is nature uses chemistry and materials that are safe for living beings, right?
Nature uses chemistry and materials that are safe for living beings.
So I think one thing you have to.
Sorry, Minalini. I want all the IIT students to listen very carefully now, please, because this is the real essence of today's learning. Just listen very carefully about the question. The question is nature. Say it again, Mini.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly share the slide so that everybody
why
can
the
see.
Cameras are off from the IIT students. Yes.
So give me a second. I'm just going to share the slide so that everybody can see it.
It's the heart of biomimicry. And if there's any designer here, if there's any designer in this group, anyone who is a product designer or a textile designer, you can mint money. You can mint money if you can follow these principles, because the investors are going to say, if you don't do these things, we won't give you money. That's where the environmental laws are going. So if you are a designer and if you're really serious about your design and about the environment, you better take care of using these principles when you make anything. It could be a paper cup, it could be a plastic bottle. But try and find out if you are following these principles when you're designing anything at all. Yes.
Yeah. So for those of you who haven't really seen this before, I'm just going to give a quick introduction, if that's okay, Bridge Mohan. So these then are called nature's unifying patterns. These are across nature, what nature designs. As you know, biomimicry looks at nature and mimics and learns from nature's strategies. And while we are doing that, broadly across whatever nature designs, broadly across the nature solutions, you will find that these patterns hold. And why we are looking at these, again, this is not an exhaustive list of patterns. This is some patterns that we can use to get started in understanding how can we create solutions that are more like nature, because that is the underpinning of biomimicry. So nature uses only the energy it needs and relies on freely available energy. That's what Shiva spoke about. I'm not going to read each of them. Urge you to please look at it on your own. You can find this and look at it on your own as well. Coming to the one that Bridge Mohan spoke about, which is nature uses chemistry and materials that are safe for living beings. Now, I think the question here is, you are saying nature uses chemistry and materials that are safe for living beings, but you do have organisms like for example, the frog, which has a very poisonous coating on its skin. So anybody touches it or an organism touches it, it's going to die. So how does that reconcile? How can we say that nature uses chemistry and materials that are safe when on the other hand, it's actually going to kill potentially? Now, the answer to that question, I think, will emerge from our understanding of life on Earth itself. So there is one thing that we have to understand, that all the principles and all the strategies that you see on Earth, all the life forms that we are going to be studying as part of this course, remember that they have created these strategies after millions of years of evolution. And most of these adaptations have been done for survival, which is why we are looking at something like biomimicry itself, because in this 3.8 billion years of evolution that has happened, what doesn't work has actually been abandoned, and only what works has actually carried on, which is why we are saying that we can use nature as a teacher to find out what actually works and take that up. Now, with respect to nature using chemistry and materials that are safe for living beings, if you see what the frog creates in terms of the poison or whatever, you will find that these materials are actually created with, life, conducive to life materials. But at the same time, the frog needs to survive. It needs to protect itself. And therefore, it has an adaptation to protect itself from predators or whatever the environment it is. I'm not sure about the specific frog that you're speaking about, but adaptation to survive is an important aspect of the frog's existence. So therefore, it has to do that, and not just the frog. It's also true for other organisms, right? It's not as if there are no organisms that produce nothing that can, cause a burn or an itching sensation. There are several plants that can cause an itch for you. There are several animals. Snakes, of course, produce venom. Other animals can actually bite you or whatever it is. Even other plants can actually sting you. So The answer is yes, they do that, but they do that because it's a survival, it's an adaptation for survival. But the principle that we are talking about here is we are not saying nature does not harm anything else at all. We are talking about the fact that the chemistry and the materials that nature use is typically conducive to life, which means that it does not create toxic waste around it or toxic materials around it like human solutions.
Yeah, for example, when the frog perishes, right, the material on the frog, inside the frog, everything gets recycled, which the other living beings can use. Right? Yeah. It doesn't become unusable because of the toxicity that was there in the frog. Safety, defense is one of them. The other is, of course, predator and prey, reasons for which there are chemistry and materials that could harm the other living beings, but in a sort of big picture point of view, it is safe for the living beings. For example, the teeth of a tiger is essential for it to get its prey, right? But when you say, okay, it is harmful, the very fact that the tiger has that teeth, canine teeth, is because it is able to now survive, as Mrinalini said. That is one. The other is, after the tiger, all the materials that have been used and the chemistry that have been used is going to be something available for the other living beings also, including the tiger. So in that's the context with which the point 7 is mentioned.
So there is a, yeah, 1 minute, Peter. I think the accent here is on safe, Bridge Mohan. So nature uses chemistry and materials that are safe for living beings. So as long as you don't interfere with the frog is not going to harm you. The frog has to have a survival mechanism. And all these principles, like Mrinalini was saying, have enabled nature to survive. If nature didn't do it, then it would have got extinct by now. So to make this example even better for you, there is a lovely case study on Adidas, where there was a problem near the factory, I think in Vietnam, where this lady was tending to puke because of the smell of the adhesive, right? So the Adidas team got together and said, how do we solve this problem? Then they learned this principle, saying nature uses chemistry and materials that are safe for living beings. And they asked themselves, how can we make adhesive that is safe, that is not toxic? Because the smell was because of the toxicity of the adhesive. And then they found that it's possible to make glue without doing all the toxic stuff they were doing. And they made that glue, and the glue that they used for the shoes was much less, was not at all harmful, because it was made the way nature makes glue, because nature makes a lot of glue underwater and all that. So apparently that is a case study to prove to you that when we do something that harms everything around, while when nature does something, it may protect itself, but it doesn't harm the atmosphere, harm or pollute the atmosphere. Is that okay, the explanation? Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, Peter, you had a question, Peter.
So I technically didn't have much of a question. I just needed to add something.
But be louder, Peter. You have to speak louder.
Okay. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, you are audible. Go ahead, please.
I just needed to add something on that. When I read about the biomimicry, I went searching on some various technologies that are coming up, and I found out of a certain scorpion in Jordan.
Peter, you have to be quick with your question. What is your question?
Also, there seems to be some background noise, so I'm not sure if everybody is hearing that.
Yeah. So can we have your question, Peter? Because we're also losing time.
Peter,
go ahead, please.
Little louder. Your voice is very feeble. So.
I didn't have a question. I just wanted to re-emphasize the number 7.
Louder, louder.
I didn't have a question. I just wanted to re-emphasize the number 7 part of it. But it's okay.
Exercise what?
The point number 7 that was being discussed previously.
Oh, okay. Okay. Got it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, so is there a question now on the 2 sessions that you heard? So for the context of the IIT students here, we have completed 2 sessions, and this session is because all the participants who are not part of the IIT Madras have questions around what they heard. So that's the context. So what you're listening to are the questions from people who have gone through those first 2 sessions. And you can now find out slowly more and more about biomimicry from the questions itself.
Shiva, there are a couple of questions on the chat.
Through
Yes.
biomimicry, are we only looking at nature as a savior or solver of problem and also explore the wrath of nature? No, I'm sorry, but here we're talking about solutions from nature and not about the wrath of nature. Only looking at solutions from nature to the Huawei person who asked that question.
Also, who asked that question? I think you had an earlier thing about ancestors. I hope you got that the answer to the question. Now, if you look at what biomimicry is and what the scope of biomimicry is, we are saying that we are learning from and mimicking strategies from nature. The way we are doing it is we are looking at strategies that are relevant to solve the problems that we have. So this is a way of looking for ideas to solve the problem, strategies to solve the problem, designs to solve your problem. Now, if one of those is about how nature destroys something or how nature, looks at end of life of something, so be it. You will actually study that as a principle, as a strategy, and use it to solve.
As a feature, correct? As a feature.
So that's what you will do. And as you go through the sequence of steps in the process, you will understand that this is not about saying nature is great, nature is our savior, but it's about saying, I have a problem and this has already been solved before. Let me find out how it has been solved before. That's what we are talking about here. So it's not about worshipping nature or only saying that, okay, nature is great and just going with that. It's a scientific approach to understanding, I have a problem. Nature has already solved this problem. How do I figure out what the strategy that has been used before is? And how do I apply that principle into my solution in order to create something that works? And by the way, while I create the solution, it will so happen that you will look at the 10 principles to create more sustainable solutions. And that's what we are talking about in this course, please.
Yeah, and I don't know whether the meaning of wrath over there, but if you mean wrath as in destruction, then yes, you can always study how nature destroys something and find out what is the principle nature employs and use that principle to solve a problem. So therefore, for instance, one of the things that you learned, right, in the design principles was nature is resilient to disturbances. Now, and we are using that principles to look at how human beings can come back from a problem. How does nature come back after a fire? There are some very nice principles that nature has to survive in spite of a fire. So the resilience is built into nature. So one of the things that we're learning is, if I want to be resilient, if I have failed in my life, and if I want to come back to the normal way of life without a depression and all that, can I look at nature and learn how to be resilient from nature? All right, any more questions, please? Because we have about 10 minutes more. I'm worried why Artina, Midun, Tanya and all are not asking. Yeah. So tsunami, for instance, you can study the tsunami and find out what tsunami does to do what it does, the power of the tsunami, and maybe you can use that to solve a problem. But before you start even learning biomimicry, you must have a problem to solve. Otherwise, you'll be only learning as a, just for fun. Don't do biomimicry for just that. All of you are young people. You need to solve the world's problems. Pick up a problem. Don't be afraid of problems. Yes, Midun, Tanya, Nagabhushan, Rajiv. Rajiv, yes. I need questions, yeah. What about the IIT students? Do you have any questions on biomimicry that you're curious about?
Yeah, of course, IIT students are just starting compared to.
Yeah, but you can ask questions. You can. Why are you not asking?
Why not ask
biomimicry?
questions? Yeah.
Why are you not asking what is biomimicry? Ask.
So one general question. I mean, as you know, like today is my first class. But one common concept which I tell, I mean, I think about biomimicry is that nature as such, you're saying we have to get inspired by nature. But the thing is, like, all the components in nature are very complex. If we take a small plant, the structure itself is like very, very complex. So designing that by nature, it's like it's like a magic. But human designs are like very simple. It won't be that complex. It will be like very straightforward. So then how will we mimic it? It is actually complexing it whatever we are trying to do, right? It won't be cost effective. It'll have like too much of effort for simple solutions. Then how will it will be worth?
First and foremost, there is no magic in technology, right?
No, in nature, I told him.
Yeah, there is no magic at all. Complexity is what you see. You can decide to take away the complexity and look at the simplicity, number one.
Okay.
Number two, when you're looking at a plant, right, you learn to look at certain aspects of the plant that match your problem. Plants are solving several problems. Plants are solving the problem of pulling water from the earth. They're solving the problem of generating energy. They're solving the problem of providing shade. They're solving the problem of not being eaten by animals. They're solving the problem of surviving. They're solving the problem of giving color. They're solving the problem of storing energy. So one plant by itself is solving about 7 or 8 problems.
Exactly.
So what you will do in biomimicry, Anthony, is to pick up one problem and try and find out if your problem and nature's problem match.
Fine, sir. I agree to that point. But anyways, all the 7 things are interlinked, right? So how will it pan out?
Right?
How will it pan out for
They could be interlinked. They could be interlinked. Just as we create machines which have functions that are linked, right? From what we feed into what we get, series of functions, sub-functions that elements of a system would have, plants and any organisms will also have. But if you look at sub-functions, it is possible for us to extract the principle by which that particular sub-function is carried out by the organism. And therefore, perhaps will help us in solving the sub-problem that we have in our hand.
Okay. Yeah.
I see your question. I see your question as an attitude question. So don't worry about the complexity, right? Yes. I don't think we can talk about complexity unless we know what your problem is.
Exactly.
Right. So, like I was telling the others, have the belief that nature could have the solution. Don't go into biomimicry saying nature is very complex. You will never learn anything.
No, sir. But the thing is like.
Anthony, I work in the area of multifunctional materials. It is not easy.
Yes,
I agree with you.
Yes, sir.
But the thing is, there are several things that we have learned as materials and mechanics people from nature. Right from nacre and bone and so on, we have been able to decipher certain things that the nature has adapted in terms of design and be able to mimic, get inspired by that and build certain materials or structures by which it was possible to accomplish what nature has been able to accomplish to a certain extent at least. So in that sense, yes, multifunctional is the name of the story when you talk about organisms and natural organisms. But it is also possible to extract, like what Shiva said, the sub-functions by which the organisms tackle certain problems helps
justifiable. Yes. Definitely, sir. This is justifiable. So, even as sir said, I'll just first believe, and then when I move on to this course, probably I'll get
I don't believe in magic. There's no magic.
Also, Anthony, the thing that we are doing to do is we are not trying to, okay, here's a plant and how do I create a plant is not our goal here at all. Because obviously that's not what we are setting out to do. In biomimicry, we are saying, okay, I have a problem.
Okay.
And I believe that nature has already solved this because it is 3.8 billion years old. It has figured out what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah.
And the best part of these solutions is these solutions are conducive to life. So therefore, can I learn that lesson and solve my problem? That's what we are trying to do. When we say mimic, we are not just copying blindly and saying that, okay, we are going to create an animal, we are going to create an organism. That's not what we are trying to say here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But of course, see, as Shiva pointed out, it doesn't come and tell us, okay, this is how you solve the problem.
Yeah.
It's all puzzle,
Yes.
right? That the
Yes,
scientists, find out, oh, okay, this is how it is doing it, right?
Yes,
And it's a plethora of things that are still not touched. So complexity is definitely very, very high. But then there are ways by which we can extract to a great extent. We can learn from nature.
Okay.
And how it has evolved to this extent today.
Sure, sir. Sure. Thanks, sir. Thanks, all three of us.
Any questions? Because we are now running out of time. We have about 5 more minutes. Anyone? Atina, Tanya, Rajiv, why are you not talking?
Yes, sir. This is Rajiv here.
Yes, hi Rajiv. I'm waiting for you to talk.
Yeah, actually, like I was, I'm not sure like how to frame these two questions. So basically, like two things. Like I have two predominant questions. That is like, say for example, like we have been talking about machine learning, deep learning, all these things, and most of them are inspired from the biological evidences. At this point of time, like when we see deep learning, like they mostly like if I look around, say for example, vision related work, right, that has been done on convolutional neural network, and that is more predominantly on hierarchical how human perceive hierarchical vision, right?
What's your question?
Yeah, the question is like, say for example, in all these things, like what we use an optimization technique, and that optimization is basically a blind optimization in the sense, like say for example, I'll have to go from point A to point B. In between what is there, I am not sure. Okay, maybe in between there is something. So does this course will give me certain intuition about like other way of optimizing, where probably I will have some not only localized knowledge, some global knowledge, so that I can take my path towards my goal.
Okay, the objective of the course is not that. But to answer your question, I can do that separately. Shall I take a couple of minutes, Shiva?
Yes, yes.
See, Rajiv, as I already told, just within a simple computational course, I could get about 100 different optimization ways by which nature has solved problems. I have come to a solution, right? Each one is distinct. If you ask my students in computational course, they'll tell you. Each one had a project. They could find out how each the two optimizations are related and how different. So there are multiple parts to this optimization. The ones that we are using right now are just the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot to be discovered, lot to be used, and that's where we are right now. Machine learning is at very nascent state.
So yeah, and Rajiv, yes, I don't know much about machine learning. I only know about biomimicry. So again, I'm going back to the point of boring every one of you at the point of constantly saying the same thing. We will teach you the process for learning something, and you will have to the onus is on you to ask whether this problem that I have, and with the process that these people are teaching me, can I go to a solution? Right? That's all we are doing. In other words, biomimicry is one more way in your toolbox to learn how to do innovation. That's it. So I would like to move away. I would like to move away from admiring nature for a minute, because that will simply spoil this program if we are all going to be admirers of nature. I would like to move away from this course is not about making you admire nature. Yes, inspiration, but inspiration also something doesn't work. This course is about solving problems using nature's way of solving problems. Just solve. That's all. That's why you will find that we have specific problems to solve. We have what is the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. There are 17 goals. There are 17 problems. And this is for the IIT students also, as to what you will get from this course. We are not in this course to describe biomimicry. We are doing this course to help you solve problems. And the most difficult thing in creativity is, what is a problem? What do you mean by problem? So we are spoon feeding the problem to you. We are spoon feeding the problem to you by giving you the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. There are 17 goals. All of them are important problems for the world. We better solve those problems, and we're relying on young people like you to solve the problem of zero hunger, no poverty. These are the problems among the 17. Life on land, life underwater, gender equality. One of the problems that I am trying to solve with Professor Junjunwala is the problem of perishables. 40% of tomatoes go waste. That's a big problem in consumption. So we are giving you these problems, and we are teaching you biomimicry and asking you to use biomimicry principles to solve those problems. And for your benefit, out of the 3 batches of students, we have got 75 solutions and at least 15 solutions that can be taken to the market. That means we have 3 batches of students who have chosen every problem, including the final problem of how to make partnerships happen, which is goal number 17 in the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. So 75 students have attacked 17 problems and come back with solutions using biomimicry. Out of that, 15 solutions are ready to go to the market. So you see the power now. So this course is not about admiring biomimicry. And that is very, very specific in the focus that we put to this course. This course is a problem-solving program. Solving a problem the way nature solves the problem. And what problem you will solve are the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, which we start in session 3. We describe the goals to you. We explain each and every goal. And we will make you choose a goal that you are emotionally involved with, because you will not solve a problem that you don't have an emotion for. So each of you will choose a goal in this program. Each of you will choose a goal, and you will use the biomimicry principles to solve that problem. And if you do a good job, you will make the first $1 billion. I'm not joking. I'm not joking. You will probably start a company and employ 100 people. So that should be your objective. Your objective should be, how do I make money and how do I become famous? By a very simple, beautiful process. That should be the way you look at this course. Not punishment. Saying, here is 17 problems. Here I am, an intelligent person. Here is a process. How do I handle these 17 problems with the process and come back with a great solution so that I can help humanity, make money for myself and my family, and start a company to employ 100 people? 3 objectives. Come on. Now you tell me why this course cannot be interesting. Silence. So all your questions are great questions, but the responsibility is on you to solve the world's problems. This course is not about credits and everything. It's about course. When I learned the 6 thinking hacks, right? I teach the hacks. It's an Edward de Bono tool. Now, when I learned the hacks, I knew a new way of solving a problem. So that was my gain. When I learned lateral thinking, it was a new way of generating ideas. That was so. Similarly, biomimicry is a tool. It's a tool in your toolbox. Like Triz, I'm sure Bridge Mohan knows about Triz, right? What Shankar is doing. So things like Triz, 6 hats, lateral thinking, biomimicry are all tools for creative thinking, tools for coming out with solutions. So nature has a tool for you called biomimicry process, which takes you from defining the problem, as Anthony was saying, to the solutions, or somebody else was saying. And what we have done is we have said, use the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals as a problem. Goal number 1. What is goal number 1, Mini? Sorry. Goal number 1.
No
Zero.
poverty. No
poverty. Zero hunger. Anyone else? Anyone knows the goals? Mini, you want to?
Education.
Yeah, I can just share the screen.
Yeah, good idea. Just share that United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and see. One of the things all of you must do is ask yourself, how do I become famous in this world? And there's a process to becoming famous. Just look at the goals.
There they are.
Look at the goals now. I want each of you to look at the goals. Tell me why it's not important. Tell me what's the problem why should you not solve it? After all, you're all engineers and other people in this group. Why should you not solve one of these problems? And biomimicry will teach you how to solve these problems. So now see the way you're starting to look at the course now. So Anthony, you must choose a problem here. You must say, I want to choose number 10, or I want to choose number 11. I want to choose number 12. Look at number 12, Anthony.
Responsible consumption and production.
I mean, such a big problem. You know, today I wasted so much food in the canteen. So much food. They gave so much rice on the plate. Biomimicry, I will be able to use biomimicry to find out how I can be a responsible consumer. So this is what the course is about for the IIT students and for the NPTEL students. You'll choose a problem, use biomimicry to solve that problem. And imagine if you come out with a great solution, Anthony, for goal number 12. You can write to the UN and say, I have solved this problem. Give me money so I can make a company.
Definitely, sir.
You can come to Research Park and start your own company. So that is the dream all of you must have. All right.
Yes, any other questions, please?
Long speech. I hope it was okay, right?
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Yes.
Sir, my name is Sachin Singh Rajput. I'm a student in machine design section. So my question is that in nature, there are thousands and thousands of mechanisms and various organisms. So like if I take example of flying, for solving the problem of flying, I have thousands of insects, birds. So how should I filter out all those mechanisms and find the best for my problem?
Great question. Thank you so much. So what we will also learn is what you're saying is, how do I choose? How do I find out, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So don't worry about it. First of all, for a problem, there may not be thousands, right? Because your human mind will not be able to pick out thousands of things. We will ask you to pick up 7 and you will end up picking 2. So don't worry about that. But there is a process to find out which will suit your requirements, Sachin.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, so therefore, ultimately, you will not find thousands, Sachin, for your specific problems, depending on your context, depending on what you're trying to do and all that. There may be a handful of organisms, or maybe 10 or 11 or 12, and that is enough for your purpose. There could be thousands, but yes, go ahead, Vinny.
So no, I didn't say anything.
Yeah. So for you, 10 or 12 is enough, Sachin. More
Yes,
than enough. Actually, just to answer the question, that is called discover. Discover means you, in your process, after you have defined your problem and after you have asked how does nature solve this problem, we will take you to a method by which you discover what are the organisms that are solving the same problem that you are trying to solve. That's called discover phase.
Okay, sir.
After the discover phase, we'll teach you how to abstract the principles that the organism is doing. How does the lotus leaf really keep itself clean? You will learn that the lotus leaf are these microstructures. So abstract, after abstract, we will teach you what is called emulate.
Yes,
Where
sir.
you will actually take the design of the lotus leaf and put it to your application form. Like there is a company called Lotus on Paint, which actually makes paint, which is similar to the lotus leaf technology. So when you take that paint and paint your house remains clean. So what they have done is they have used the technology of nature and put it in the paint. And they have created a company called Lotus on Paints, which is making billions of dollars. And then you will also ultimately evaluate, going back to a question that Bridge Mohan asked, to see to it that what you create is not harmful to anyone. That you follow the design principles of nature. So Sachin, you are in for an exciting time.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Sir, I have one question.
Yes.
Because I am not from the biology background or something. So what I was thinking about, do we have a data bank or some kind of repository where we can get a more detailed insight of each organism or plant or animal or something, so we can kind of journey become easier, because totally new area for me to understand.
Brilliant. Bridge Mohan, you want to teach with us?
No.
Great question. Mrinali, should we let the cat out of the bag now?
Yeah, of course. The thing is, I think as you go through the course, Bridge Mohan, you will figure out what this is. And I think in the first or the second class, I would have briefly introduced Ask Nature to you. So Ask Nature does have that kind of data bank.
Asknature.org.
Yeah, asknature.org. It does have the data bank that you're talking about. And it will help you actually discover organisms through that. How do we use Ask Nature? How do you make it relevant for yourself, etc. will be something that we will do as we go through the process. So you will kind of see that. So I think you will have to hold off for maybe a week before you actually get into the thick of things.
The invitation to you is to go to asknature.org and fool around with that website. Just go around. Oh, it's fascinating. And that is one of the reasons why Mrinali and I started learning biomimicry, because we saw this website called asknature.org with 1,800 organisms to be precise. And all those organisms are solving some problem or the other.
But
and
I have a warning though.
Every problem known to us, right? And it's fascinating. So just explore the website. And like Mrinali was saying, I think in session 3 or 4, we'll help you actually use asknature.org. Ask Nature is what is called a taxonomy of all the organisms present.
Yeah, there is one warning though. Once you go into that, it'll take you a long time and you won't realize that you spent a lot of time because it's so fascinating.
For other students also, you can start exploring. It's called asknature.org. But there are other ways also. You can also ask some biology students for any organisms. That's not, you can also, there are a lot of research papers. Mini, what's that website, that new one that's come up? Like Ask Nature, there's one more website, no? They're just building that website. There's one more.
I'm not sure which one you're referring to.
Anyway. Yeah.
The other thing is also, Bridge Mohan, I think one thing that you may want to rethink is it's not important to be a biology student in order to, practice biomimicry. Because all of us cannot be biologists. I'm not, I don't have any background in biology at all, and I still started doing biomimicry. So yes, we are learning from nature, but we are not learning biology here. So it's not important that you need to, have an understanding of biology as much as you need to be able to be willing to extract the principles that are happening in order to solve the problem that you want to solve. So that's what I would say is the real crux of trying to be a biomimic. And that's what Ask Nature helps you do. Because it's not possible to, obviously there are so many millions of organisms on this earth, and you can't be expected to start looking at millions of organisms. So that's what Ask Nature is actually helping you do, is to get started. So that's the whole point there.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. I think we have exceeded.
Have overshot the time a bit. So if there are no further questions, then we'll probably wrap this up, this session, and take it up in the next live session that we will have for the NPTEL class, and of course for the students of the IIT course. We will meet next week and take it up from there, as we've already spoken about earlier. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Very much.
Thank you very much. We
Bye.
look forward to learning with all of you.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you.
Bye.
I think beginning you were talking about some WhatsApp group, something like that.
WhatsApp. So what we do is you write to us. You have my email ID, right?
So you, Bridgemohan, you can use the class forum to start communicating, and we'll take it from there.
Fine.
And I think
There's an ask a question link, right? So let's start speaking on that, and then we'll see how to build it.
But you can also write to us.
Yeah.
Sure. Fine. Thank you.
Nice talking to you.
Same here. I have the number of Dr. Shiva, sir. I will write to him. Yes, fine.
Yeah. Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Aditya, yeah, can you just call after this?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.